This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox, calling DX on 10.
Mike 0 station, this is Victor Echo 3, Oscar Radio Echo, VE3ORE.
Yeah, Victor Echo 3, Oscar Radio Echo. Very good morning to you, or good afternoon to you maybe. The name this side is Mark, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo. I'm about 15 miles southeast of the city of London. You got a lovely audio on your signal, and I would imagine quite a good signal as well. You sounded loud, but I wasn't watching the radio, so I'll give you a report properly on the next over. Victor Echo 3, Oscar Radio Echo. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot.
Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, this is VE3ORE. Fine business, Mark, and okay on 15 miles south of London. And name here is Andy, Alpha November Delta Yankee. I'm running an ICOM 7610, and I do have an amplifier running, I guess it's peaking about 800 watts. And my antenna is a three-element step IR at about 50 feet. I'm at actually a summer cottage location, although summer's just about gone. I think this was the last official day of summer. So we're here for one more week and then back to my home QTH, which is nearer to Newmarket. And I'll tell you more about my location on the next over. Nice audio from you too, Mark. Very good, strong, clear signal. And but probably about S5, but the band is very quiet, so that's absolutely in the clear and very, very nice copy. Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot. This is Victor Echo 3 Oscar Radio Echo.
Yeah, VE3ORE M0 JCF returning. Well, Andy, I've got to say the 7610 with your 800 watts into that step IR is doing an awesome job. You're just nudging 5 and 9 to me. It's exactly what I'm going to put in my book. I'm very happy with a 5 and 5. The fact that you can hear me is good enough for me. I've been working the USA a few times today, and they've been down to signal levels of 0, you know, not moving the bar graph, and but their audio has been good enough. You can have a perfectly good conversation. So I don't get overly hung up on signal strengths per se, but I'm using an IC-7300 today, so I'm using the baby brother of your radio, and I'm using just a 5/8 wave of vertical antenna. So I'm using, compared to your 3-element, I'm using a very simple vertical antenna, and then it's whatever's coming out the back of the radio, which the assumption is 100 watts. I haven't got my external meter connected at this time, but I'm assuming around the 100 watt mark, say, into that vertical. And that's the story. Whiskey X-ray, if you're interested, Andy. We're obviously just past the equinox now, and we're into autumn properly. The leaves are just starting to change colour, but today's been a lovely day, about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which for the southeast of England is quite warm. It's quite summery, and broken clouds. We had lots of rain overnight, a few thunderstorms over the weekend. So that's the story, Andy, and thanks for coming back to me. Victor Echo 3 Oscar Romeo Echo. This is Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox.
Yeah, okay, Mark. Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox, VE3ORE. Well, you peaked up to 7 there, S7, which is remarkable, you know, with a vertical antenna and 100 watts. Just what a wonderful band this is when the sun cooperates. And I think we've got, I don't even think we're at the peak, are we, of the cycle. I think maybe early next year is more like the peak. But yeah, it's amazing. And okay, on the weather report, thank you for that. My sister lives in the south of England. My brother lives in Herefordshire, and I came to Canada in '76. So I kind of know where you're about, and I sort of remember what the weather was like at different times of the year. But nice to get a good weather report. I can sort of picture what my sister's going through. Here we've had a quite remarkable September. The weather's been very, very good, and yeah, it's been, now I'm going to give it to you in centigrade, but it's been in the 23, 24. I think that's over 70, around 70 Fahrenheit anyway. Today we had a couple of bad days, overcast, but not cold. And then today has really got quite a bit colder, down to 12 degrees centigrade, but bright, clear sun and no wind. So as long as you're somewhere where the sun is hitting you, it's a great day. We're on an island 15 kilometers from the mainland, northern Toronto, northern Ontario, so in a quite isolated area, but wonderful for radio because there's no QRM and no one to worry about what antennas I hang in the trees. So that's the story here, Mark. Back to you, Mike 0 JCF VE3ORE.
VE3ORE M0 JCF returning. Absolutely awesome. You know what I've done is I've just checked you out where you are on the map, and I know what you mean by isolated. It's 1,000,001 islands there in Lake Huron, from what I can see. I'm just having a look around, and of course Lake Huron, you've got all of the Great Lakes around there. And I'm sure that this time of the year it becomes spectacular. I often talk to North Americans about about the fall colours. I've visited the USA many times, and a few times we visited this time of the year, and we've had a few flights over Vermont, Maine, that sort of place. In fact, we've landed in Bangor in Maine once for refueling. No, that was many years ago, back in the 1990s. And you can see the colours from the air, even from high up, and it always looks awesome. But yeah, just looking at the map, I see, is it McGregor Bay and your East Sampson Island, and I just look in there, it is just more islands than there is water, I think. But it looks quite spectacular, and I would imagine it is. My wife and I say we've visited North America many times over the years, probably about 15 times, and I've been coast to coast, east to west, but we've never visited Canada. And it's really strange because I've got friends that I've got in Canada, both Montreal, Toronto and Ottawa. And I keep saying, one day I'm going to visit, and I've been friends with these people since the 1970s, but we've never visited. And me and my wife now keep saying, because our daughters are in their mid to late 20s now and quite settled, and we keep saying maybe it's time now, to go to places like Canada, where we're not going for the fun of Florida and the sun of Florida, etc. We should go to Canada in the summer. And I'm keen. I mean, obviously I'd like to see the Niagara Falls and around that area, which I would believe is quite south, and that would be south and east of you, wouldn't it? You are quite north of Toronto, I see there. But yeah, it looks quite spectacular from a 2D map. I can just imagine what it's like. Back to you.
Well, you gotta come over, but don't come in January or February, unless you've got a really good fur-lined coat, because our weather tends to be a bit extreme. We get nice summers, very nice summers, but we do get cold winters. And on all the visits, I've just been looking at your website. You see, you're probably a motorbike racing fan, or at least what your picture suggests. But I'm looking at your radios. You've got some wonderful pictures of some antique radios, and it brings back a lot of memories. So the Edison 940, I had one of those in the UK. I kind of left it behind, but I do remember that wonderful mechanical tuning on it, and great big dial. Not much else positive to say about it, I don't think, but it was a great radio. But the thing that really interests me, and you don't have an individual picture of it, but I had one of these, and in your first picture, you've got this, Trio. I remember it was called Trio, and it was a VHF only, no UHF. It sideband AM, FM, and it's on the top of the pile of your equipment there. Now, I had one of those. I think it was the first VHF sideband radio I ever bought. And I bought it in the UK, and I brought it with me to Canada, and I had to modify it because, the repeaters here, they were all the 2 meter bands, 4 megs, not 2 megs, and access with PL, not the repeaters had a tone at the beginning, didn't they? In the UK, I don't know if that's still the case, but anyway, I still have that radio, and I don't use it, but I keep it for nostalgic reasons. So great to see one on someone's bench there. Back to you, Mark.
Yeah, VE3ORE M0 JCF. Well, thanks for the compliments. One thing I will say before I answer everything you've just brought up, you say you left the UK in 1976. Of course, that was our hot summer. That was the world famous summer of 76 in the southeast of England. I was still at school at the time. I left school in 1979, so I was at senior school. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and I think we've had hot summers since, but that one is the one that will always stay with me, because obviously I was younger, I was impressionable, and we were so used to freezing cold winters, wet winters, and all the rest of it, to have that summer where everyone was absolutely moaning about it being too hot, too dry for too long, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. Of course, that was that is when you left the UK. The motorcycle, that was my drag bike until recently. I don't do it anymore. Until recently, I was drag racing motorcycles, and we built that one. That was a 1216 Suzuki with a turbocharger on it, 340 horsepower. So it was fantastic in a straight line. Rubbish for going around corners. It was long and low, but it was built specifically for the quarter mile. And the radios, what happened is I've had a lot of those old boat anchor radios when I was younger, like you, and I wanted some for nostalgia reasons. For instance, the RCA AR88, I've had several over the years, but in the 70s I had one, and I just wanted another one for nostalgia reasons. The 940 Eddystone, once again, I bought it for nostalgia reasons. And like a lot of these old radios, I bought them for restoration and then use. I was lucky enough to retire at age 59 2 years ago, and I decided before I retired what I would do is I would buy in a lot of old radios, some old boat anchors, nostalgia stuff and whatever, for restoration and then use. And I've been a bit slow on the restoration, but the use, when I've got them working, I use them, and that's why you see a lot of those old heavyweights there. The QRZ page is a little bit out of date when it comes to the radios, but I will update it at some point. The Trio TS700, that's not the original one that I had, or sorry, it's not the one that I've got now. I've had about 4 or 5 of them. I tend to find that people are literally giving away these old radios without realising they are absolutely perfectly serviceable to this day. And those Trio 700, there's a 700, 700S, 700G, etc., and they are just perfect multi-mode 2 meter band radios. So what I do is I buy them, I tweak them, I play with them, I use them, then I sell them on because I know another one is going to be thrown my way soon. It's the same with all that KW equipment you will see. KW were a local firm in Dartford in Kent, probably 15 minutes away from where I live. And, you know, I had an opportunity some time ago, 18 months ago, to buy a huge stack of KW equipment from a silent key via their niece. And the niece had no idea whatsoever. So I gave her a fair price as unseen, untested. And I collected them, you know, and yeah, slowly getting there. I've sold a few of them on because there were a lot of doubles. And yeah, I'm not greedy. I don't like to hang on to stuff for the sake of it. I like to use it. So I decided, you know, with the amount of KW enthusiasts we've got in this country, to move a lot of it sideways. But I've got Swan equipment. I've got Yaesu Summer Camp and that. I love the old equipment. I know today I'm talking to you on a very modern radio, but that's because I've been a bit lazy, and some of the older equipment is under piles of even older equipment at the moment. I need a good sort out. So that's the story there, Andy. VE3ORE M0 JCF.
Yeah, M0 JCF VE3ORE. Well, that's wonderful, Mark. Yeah, that's well, that's just another part of the hobby, isn't it? One which makes amateur radio so such an amazing pastime. The equipment that we see and we can get, and as you say, you can get older stuff, you know, almost given away, but it's usually quite workable. And the nice thing about the old radios is they were, you know, you could fix them. You didn't need a, you know, electron microscope and dealing with little chip capacitors that are the size of a grain of rice or smaller. Those things you could really work on. I remember the 700, the TS700 had a I think it was a 5 meg VFO in it. I know it was a super het sort of mixing design, but the basic VFO, all mechanical, and wonderful. A lot of crystals in it, in mind to get it working on different repeaters on FM. But yeah, clever little radio. Where my home QTH is, I really don't have any antennas. I just have one end-fed wire for HF, but I don't do any work there. I've remoted this station because the location is so good for RF. But I used to enjoy 2-meter sideband when I lived in Suffolk, and I had a good high gain VHF antenna, so I could routinely work sideband across the channel into Europe. So there we go. Anyway, Mark, I'll sign with you and let you work some other stations there, because you've got a great signal coming this way, and I shouldn't hog time with you. Must be getting a little late with you, I'm assuming, but I'm sure you can make some more contacts here. So it's been great talking to you, and I love the pictures on your page there. So I'll stand by for your final, and then I'll sign. Mike 0 JCF VE3ORE.
Yeah, VE3ORE. Well, the pleasure was all mine, Andy. Fantastic to talk to you, and an absolutely superb signal. Around about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I get some local QRM. I think it's from a neighbour several doors away. He keeps fish, koi carp, and he's got various tanks and that in outbuildings in his garden, and I think he uses either halogen or LED lights. He's only lived there for 3 years or so, and it was just as about 6 months to a year after he moved in that regularly in the afternoon the QRM comes up on both 10 and 12 meters. So, you know, I get sometimes S3 of noise, and signals signals out of the USA can sometimes be around S3 or lower on my vertical antenna, and consequently, you know, I lose a lot. But I thought today, you know, I heard a few really strong stations. I've been on most of the afternoon. I've been working the USA, Seychelles, and all over the place really, but say quite a few USA and Canada today. But I thought to myself, yeah, some strong signals, let's put out a call, let's see what comes back. But looking at the clock, I mean, I was going to be finished at 6 o'clock this evening. It's now 6:15 in the evening, British summertime, and I was going to stop at 6, go down and put the oven on. I've got chicken wings that I want to cook up and make myself some nice spicy chicken wings, and I've just realised the time, so I probably won't actually be putting out this signal much longer. I will call out and see if anyone's listening on the side and would like a report or anything. But no, getting back to the conversation with you, absolutely superb. As I say, you've got a fantastic setup there. It's been constantly at the top of the shop. As I say, the QRM has made no difference whatsoever, and I don't see how it would. You were multiple S points above it. But as you can tell, I am a CQer and a rambler. I'm not a one for, I mean, I do it, but I'm not a one for really just swapping reports, moving on. I don't do competition style unless it benefits me. Generally, if there's a language barrier maybe, then I accept that the QSOs are going to be strong. But you know, at the end of the day, Andy, I do like a ragchew, and I do have an alligator mouth, and sometimes I forget, and I'll unkey after a long over, and that person I was talking to has long gone. The QSB has dropped him off the cliff, never to come back again. But it wasn't the case today. But yeah, I will update my QRZ page at some point. Some radios have got to be removed, others have got to be added, the configurations are different, blah blah blah, you know how it works. But I will get on, I will get all of those boat anchors working one way or another, and they will get used. They don't get put on a shelf to be looked at, they get used. And likewise, I don't buy the stuff just to sell on and make a huge great profit. The hobby for me is all about making things, restoring things, using things, rather than buying the ubiquitous black box that I'm using today and just making contacts. You know, it's all a great big melting pot for me. Right, on that note, I'll let you go and do what you got to do, and a WhatsApp message has just popped up on my phone, so my wife is probably going to ask me, do you want the oven switched on? So I think I'd better make this my last. But it was an absolute pleasure to speak to you and to get you in the logbook today, Andy. And as I say, more interesting was looking on the map at where you are. It's just that mass of islands, and I can imagine in the winter it's a mass of ice. But we'll talk about that another day. You take care, best 73 to everyone around you, and send your wishes back to the UK as well when you make that phone call home. Victor Echo 3, Oscar Romeo Echo, this is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Fox signing with you. 73, bye-bye, old friend.
Yeah, 73 is Mark, Mike 0, JCF VE3ORE. I can almost smell the chicken wings cooking from here. Oh dear, yeah, I agree. It's much nicer to have a chat with someone and get to know them a little better than just swapping a call sign and an S signal report. But yeah, a bit of both, that's good. Anyway, best 73s, we'll look for you again, Mark. Been a very enjoyable queue, so all the best. 73s, Mike 0, JCF VE3ORE is clear.
Yeah, cheers, old chap. Before I go, QRT, if anyone would like a report, QRZ, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot, southeast of England. Okay, nothing was heard. Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot is now QRT. This frequency is clear for use. The frequency is clear for use.